I love this subject. It's just, honestly, every question we're asking is vastly expanding the body of knowledge for all of the senators. Okay, this is like the frontier in terms of issues, and it gets kind of arcane until you have the discussion. Then you can keep reducing it down to a more simple understanding of what we're talking about. So. So I love any question that anyone, because I'm learning from all of this as well. So, Mr. Altenberg, do you think crypto mining supports or undermines our national goal for a clean, affordable, and reliable electricity grid?
It certainly does. I mean, even in the situation where we have crypto mining coming from our nuke plants, that's diverting carbon-free energy from the grid. We heard testimony, we've heard people say that doing things like using more Bitcoin mining can incentivize solar or bring more solar on the grid, but that's not what we're seeing happening on the ground. The Bitcoin miners, they are incentivized to use energy sources that are available at very, very high capacity factors. In almost all cases, those are fossil fuel or formerly baseload resources. And those resources we have to, if we are going to decarbonize our grid, we're going to need clean renewable generation, and wasting energy on unnecessary proof-of-work mining when we can have cryptocurrency and blockchain technology without that is just counterproductive.
So do you think that more disclosure would stifle or actually encourage innovation in this industry?
More disclosure always helps regulators. And I speak from working for 22 years as a state regulator. Having the information to back up our decisions is absolutely essential.
Yeah, and so I just have a couple of more questions. And do you have any additional questions,
I do.
Senator?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Okay, yeah. Great. So it's the goal of the legislation to provide transparency on all types of environmental impacts. People who live near crypto mining facilities have said, quote, it's like living on top of Niagara Falls, and that it's like a jet that never leaves. Dr. Kellis, is it true that crypto mining facilities produce nonstop noise, which can affect quality of life, especially in rural communities?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I hear also from constituents around the state, that it has not only significantly impacted their own experience, because many of them are in fields, many of them are in places where there aren't that many people. We have examples of a large-scale cryptocurrency mining trails. And it's significantly impacting people's ability to appreciate nature and get away, because it is like standing on a tarmac, is what I've heard from people. But there's also some disturbing data, the impact of the noise on animal species, birds, which I think is actually particularly disturbing given the estimates of decline in birds that we are already seeing.
Okay, could you also talk about the facilities using water in excess of unnecessary quantities?
Yeah, so the facility that began this conversation, as I spoke of earlier, Greenwich, does pull in up to 140 million gallons of water a day. And releases it at significantly higher temperatures. One thing that I haven't emphasized is that we have seen massive surges in harmful algal bloom outbreaks all throughout all of the Finger Lakes, the Great Lakes, even coastal areas. And that can be directly impacted by increasing temperatures from these facilities. So that is also harmful. It's harmful for all of the wildlife and also toxic for humans.
Okay, and one final question, which is that some of the supplemental testimony which has been submitted today states that each Bitcoin transaction is tied to the same amount of e-waste as throwing away 2 iPhones. Could you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. The e-waste, there's some research showing a massive exponential global increase in e-waste directly tied to cryptocurrency mining. But I would also note it's not just the existence of e-waste, which in and of itself is concerning, but a large percentage of e-waste produced every year is exported from the high-income countries to low and middle-income countries, where regulations on its dismantling, recycling, and refurbishing may be lacking or even poorly enforced. According to the WHO, an estimated 12.9 million women, and I think it was 18 million children and adolescents as young as 5 years old, work in the informal waste sector, which potentially exposes them to toxic e-waste. Their goal in this work is often to recover copper and gold from used electronics, risking exposure to harmful chemicals such as lead, mercury, nickel, brominated flame retardants, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. So all of these are highly correlated with some health issues like stillbirth and premature birth, low birth weight and length, and exposure to lead, of course, we know has a lot of neurological issues, increasing rates of ADHD, behavioral problems, sensory integration difficulties. So huge issues that we are not discussing sufficiently with respect to the health and the escalating e-waste from this industry.
Yep. Thank you so much, Senator Ricketts.